Have you ever looked at someone speaking English so confidently that you quietly told yourself, I wish I could speak like that? I used to think the same. Whenever I watched someone speaking English without stopping, I felt happy for them. But at the same time, a small voice inside me said, you can never do that. I don't know where that voice came from. Maybe it came from my fear. Maybe it came from my past mistakes. Or maybe it came from the people who thought learning English was a waste of time. One day I opened my notebook. The first page was full of English words. Some words were correct. Some words were wrong. Some sentences didn't even make sense. When I looked at them, I felt embarrassed. I asked myself, what am I doing? I have been learning for weeks, but I still can't speak. That day, I almost closed my notebook forever. I thought learning English was only for smart people. I believed that some people were born with talent, and I wasn't one of them. Then something happened. While cleaning my room, I found an old notebook from my childhood. Inside it, I saw my handwriting. The letters were messy. Many spellings were wrong. Even my own language looked difficult for me at that time. I smiled. Then I remembered something. Nobody is born knowing everything. As children, we all learn slowly. We fall. We stand up again. We make mistakes. And little by little, we improve. So why was I expecting myself to speak perfect English in just a few weeks? That didn't make any sense. From that day, I stopped chasing perfection. Instead, I started chasing progress. I made one simple rule. Every day, I would learn something new. It didn't matter if it was one word, one sentence, or one small story. I just had to move one step forward. The first few days were not easy. I still forgot words. I still made grammar mistakes. Sometimes I spent 15 minutes trying to understand one simple sentence. There were moments when I wanted to quit again. But every time I felt like giving up, I remembered my old notebook. If I could learn my first language by making thousands of mistakes, then I could learn English the same way. That thought gave me hope. I stopped asking, when will I become fluent? Instead, I started asking, what can I learn today? That one question changed my attitude. Every evening, I wrote one paragraph in English. Sometimes it was good. Sometimes it was terrible. But I never skipped a day. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I was trying to become a better version of myself. And slowly, something beautiful started happening. The fear inside me became a little smaller, not because my English was perfect, but because I had finally started believing in myself. The next morning, I woke up with a different feeling. For the first time, I wasn't thinking about becoming fluent. I was only thinking about today's practice. I opened my notebook and wrote one sentence. It was a very simple sentence, but it took me several minutes to write it. When I finished, I smiled. Not because the sentence was perfect, because I didn't quit. Days passed. My notebook became thicker. Every page was filled with new words, short stories, and small conversations. If someone looked at my notebook, they would probably notice many mistakes. But I noticed something else. I was making fewer mistakes than before. That was enough to make me continue. One evening, I tried to read an English story. A few months earlier, I could hardly understand one paragraph. Now I understood almost half of the story. I didn't know every word, but I understood the meaning. That small success made me happy. It reminded me that progress is often quiet. Sometimes you don't notice it until you look back. A few days later, I decided to record myself speaking English. I pressed the record button. I spoke for 1 minute. Then I listened to my own voice. To be honest, I didn't like it. I spoke slowly. I paused too much. My pronunciation wasn't very good. For a moment, I felt disappointed again. Then I remembered something important. How could I expect my first recording to sound like someone who had practiced for years? That wasn't fair. So I made another decision. Instead of deleting the recording, I saved it. I wanted to keep it as a reminder of where I started. From that day, I recorded my voice every week. Week after week, I noticed small improvements. My pauses became shorter, my confidence became stronger, my fear became weaker. The changes were not dramatic, but they were real. One afternoon, while reading my old notes, I found a sentence I had written months ago. It said, "I don't think I can speak English." I looked at that sentence for a long time. Then I smiled, because the person who wrote those words was not the same person anymore. I still wasn't fluent. I still had a lot to learn. But one thing had changed forever. I no longer doubted myself. I finally understood that believing in yourself doesn't mean believing you will never fail. It means believing that every failure can teach you something. Every mistake became my teacher. Every difficult day made me stronger. And every small victory gave me one more reason to keep going. That was the moment I realized confidence is not something you find. It is something you build, one small step at a time. After many months, I picked up my very first notebook again. I slowly turned the pages. I saw broken sentences, wrong spellings, grammar mistakes, and many words that I had written in the wrong way. A few months ago, those pages made me feel embarrassed, but this time, they made me smile, because those mistakes told a story. They reminded me where I had started. I realized something very important. If I had waited to become perfect, I would still be waiting today. The reason I improved was not because I was the smartest person. It was because I showed up every single day. Some days I studied for an hour, some days I had only 10 minutes, but I never allowed one bad day to become a bad week. Slowly, English stopped feeling like a difficult subject. It became a part of my daily life. I read short stories while drinking tea. I learned new words while walking. I spoke to myself in English, even when I made mistakes. I didn't care if anyone was watching, because I was no longer trying to prove something to other people. I was proving something to myself. One evening, I met a young student who wanted to learn English. The student looked worried and asked, "Can I really become fluent? I make too many mistakes." I smiled because I saw my old self in that question. I didn't give a long speech. I simply said, "Do you know why a baby learns to walk? The baby falls again and again. But the baby never thinks, 'Walking is not for me.' The baby stands up and tries again. Learning English is the same. If you keep standing up after every mistake, one day speaking English will feel natural." The student became quiet. Then a small smile appeared. At that moment, I understood something beautiful. Sometimes your journey is not only changing your life, it is also giving hope to someone else. That is why you should never stop learning. You never know who is watching your courage. Today, I am still learning English. Yes, I still make mistakes. Sometimes I forget words. Sometimes I pronounce a word incorrectly. But now I don't feel ashamed, because mistakes are no longer my enemies. They are my teachers. So if you are watching this and thinking, "My English is too weak," I am too late. I am not talented. I want to tell you one thing. Please don't believe those thoughts. Believe in yourself instead. Don't wait for confidence before you start. Start first. Confidence will follow. Don't compare your chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 20. Everyone has a different journey. The only person you need to be better than is the person you were yesterday. Learn one new word today. Read one page today. Speak one sentence today. Tomorrow, do it again. Your progress may be slow, but slow progress is still progress. One day, people will look at your English and think, "Wow, you speak so well." They won't see the days when you felt like giving up. They won't see the notebooks filled with mistakes. They won't see the fear you defeated. But you will remember, and you will smile, because you will know the truth. You didn't become better in one day. You became better because you believed in yourself every single day. So before this story ends, I want you to remember one sentence. Believe in yourself, even when you cannot see the result yet, because every small step you take today is quietly building the future you dream about. Thank you for listening, and never stop learning.